So let's start recording again. We are on. We are live. I'm going to play one of my Transformers things here and do a commentary track with the audio turned way down. So let's see. Ah, hmm. We're going to do Battle of the Alekom, which has never had an audio commentary track. So I'm going to play. I'm going to assume that it's going to work, but it might not. So here goes to Battle of the Alekom, and we are going into the movie right now. Okay, this is trans. Trans. Not to be confused with transsexual, but trans. The Battle of the Alekom. Yeah, so. Oh, wow. Okay, Cataco. Okay. Volume. So yeah, I'll just large spacecraft. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is for the audio turned way down here. I'm doing this. I said Lego ships and stars. Oh no. So yeah, we had a crappy JVC camera back then, and the only way to do it was the focus puller was all screwing up in it. So I had this ingenious idea of having taken apart a magnifying glass, and I used that to pull the focus in on the transformer. Unfortunately, I didn't hold it steady, so it just looks like he's underwater, which is kind of funny. And apparently, what's going on? I'll just have to tell you what's going on because we can't actually use the actual audio in the movie because reasons. Yeah, when we get to the later ones, it'll become evident that we can't do that. Well, this is Ballad of the Alekom, and this is the Lego base. Because we used music that we shouldn't have used, we can't put that on YouTube. So this is so all you're gonna see is this stuff with commentary tracks over it. So because we wanted to show where this all came from long before the mushes. And here we have the Constructicons attempting to rebuild the SDF Autobot, and I guess to make him a Decepticon. Okay, this was made a little after Transformers the movie. So I think December of '86 is actually when this was, even though it says '87. Because it has like post Christmas toys in it. But not yet. It has, well, some of them. Stunticons Aerobot gift set. The Stunticons came separately. They came from Mervyn's. Yeah, we had a it was a Mervyn's. Yeah. Back in the day. I always thought it was kind of annoying that the Stunticons were sort of a. So yeah, I always thought it was funny that they had these guys done up. They never made them the proper scale to each other. It wasn't until like 20 years later that they made the Combiner War. Almost 20 years later, when they made the Combiner Wars ones, they sort of downscaled the other ones to match the Combiner Wars ones and made them the right scale. Even now, they have a problem with that because you have plastic, how much plastic you can use, that kind of thing, and they where it would be cost prohibitive to make larger supersized transformers, so make them slightly smaller. G1 Sideswipe there is example of that time period of being he's quite small. They were not big. They were bigger than GoBots, but they weren't very big. Oh, and then the Autobot, the SDF Autobot. Is this after they broke the smokestacks off? Or before? That was kind of an expensive toy. Yeah. SDF Autobot. Which measures the SDF 1, which is, well, scale-wise, was supposed to be an Autobot. It would be bigger than Metroplex, and all of them really, because several miles tall. They never really. Yeah, the scale is weird on these guys. Because technically, the jet ones should be way taller than the car ones, because they're like Tomcats and F-14s and things. We had Legos thrown in there too. This is in that weird transition between Lego playsets and the Carta and all that was doing it at the same time. So this is during the Carta thing, all at the same time. It's a Robotech Battle Pod made by Matchbox. Yeah, I got the Battle Pod. I remember that bench, the toy chest. Oh man, and of course the director, writer, producer. There's no script. Is probably just 17 in this, so you can excuse my I want to do a Transformers thing because there weren't too many reruns because the movie was coming out. They were going to completely jump ahead to 2005 in that universe. Multiverse was a mysterious new thing. Much did not exist. Carta. Oh my goodness, this is funny. There goes that lens thing again. Oh yeah, yeah. I keep like slamming that Jetfire toy around, and that's one of the '84 ones, so it probably had a bad backpack. But yeah, there were two different versions. There was the '84 and '85 one. The '84 one had backpack would fall off and get loose. The '85 one would do other things. Also, there was an earlier print of the '84 one that had little Macross symbols on it, and that was very rare. That had both. Had QA issues. So we have the Legos. Yeah, it was still a thing. Legos are still a thing. The great nephew Donovan is now 12. All kinds of Legos are very sophisticated now, and they have whole cars. It looks like a car, but it's Legos. It looks like a ship, but it's Legos. It's like back then, the Lego space set, the Lego city set, those kind of it. They had a Lego Spaceman set, which they referenced in the Lego movie. My idea. I suggested that. Referenced that. Very old school thing in it. I was not involved in the movie, but hey, it was online. It was known. This is Kal Kat's actually. Yes. And in honor of that, the Purr Beast was also included in the Lego Ninjago movie. Because they saw our Purr Beast video. Not on our website, but somebody else uploaded it to theirs, and it went viral. It wasn't our original. Bastards. Anyway, so yeah, so this is way before the internet stuff. And there was commentary on the other one was this guy is the grandfather of Transformers fan films. This guy doing them before they were even a thing. This is like the 80s. This is like 1987. This is like late 86, early 87. And it's really, really incoherent and weird, but yeah, the SDF-3 as a city would be bigger than Metroplex. Bigger than Fort Maximus, which came later. He would be able to like... Actually, the toy was about the same size as Metroplex. As a toy. But yeah, that thing was expensive back then. I think that was like $100. What am I doing to it? But the smokestacks did not get broken off by me specifically. That came later. That was actually Jimticon, and he decided to body slam the bed because we were into wrestling and stuff. So he body slammed the bed, and the toy was like next to it. The bed came down onto the toy. Yes. But yeah, so we have. So they killed Jetfire, I guess. I'm not really sure what I was doing here. Yeah. Yeah. Botic ship. Oh, okay. I don't need to line up exactly what's going on because I'm not sure. But yeah, the Legos back then were still cheap. Even when Danny at this point was a nephew, was like a little brother. He had the Legos too, but Power Rangers kid. He shows up later. He gets lines in the later stuff. Trans 2. but here he's like one, so he doesn't get any lines in this one. But yeah, now he's in his 30s and he has a kid, and his kid likes Lego, so pass it on the master builder thing. But back then, in order to be a master builder, you had to literally come up with. They got play sets for everything. Back then, you had to do it yourself. You couldn't just buy. Oh, I want a Star Wars play set that looks like Star Wars, but it's Legos. You couldn't do that. Now Playmobil does the Star Trek stuff, but Lego does the Star Wars stuff, the Disney stuff, and Harry Potter stuff, whatever. Crossover with Warner Brothers there. But here we have. Yeah, this was not studio driven, clearly. This is a fan film done by a teenager in the 80s during the run of Transformers, and I thought it would be interesting to do a commentary on something that never had one, on the original G1 Transformers. I guess set during the 20 years between 1985 and 2005. but it was never quite Oakland. The Oakland jokes. Okay, here's what's going on is like customarily there's like if they're from like a part of the world where the city that gets made fun of, like the Cleveland. Let's make fun of Cleveland. If you're from Ohio, you make fun of Cleveland. California, from the Bay Area, you're not making fun of San Francisco. You're making fun of Oakland. So you make fun of. It's kind of mean, but that's what's going on. It's in Oakland. They're gonna have a battle in Oakland. And what's funny about this is that a lot of the elements of these stories were rewritten as Transformers meets Robotech, Transtech. About 13 years later in 2001 or so, 2001, 2006, 2007. We rewrote it all over again. Mark's Cards, and I did the whole thing over again. Adam Brown and John Yeager, Kal Kat and Mark's Cards. So we did the whole thing over again. As that. So there's elements of those stories, the genesis of those stories in this. Whereas back then, I had no idea what filming was, or lighting apparently was in this scene, and I didn't bother changing up the lighting or trying to patch this or cut out all the goobly greeblies. This is from the apparently a 2012 reissue of the 2005 prints from the DVD collection, which I found again in the collection and looked at and said, this is from that. This is a direct port of that DVD. It looks like from the video. This is what aired. The failed child star. This is probably why. Yeah, so there's not even any other voices in here. It's just this weird, surreal sort of Transformer thing. It's about an hour. I think off. So yeah, the Battle of the Alekom, Alison Strawberg, the Alekom. That was refined later. I know it's the Transformers the movie that I was thinking of, because the giant robot that shows up later is clearly Unicron. But yeah, we couldn't build a Unicron. They didn't make them. There were kids at school and on the bus back then that claimed they had one, but they lied. They didn't make any of them. They later released, when the internet started years later in the mid 90s. The internet officially got fast enough so you could watch video. In the early 90s, it was still slow, and people had pictures and stuff of. The first thing to appear on the internet was porn and Star Trek and Star Wars. But yeah, here is a G-rated Transformer stop motion attempt that didn't work. I see this is actually cleaned up a little. So this is a 2012 print. I tried to clean it up as best as possible, but there are definitely problems. Used that same camera to make Star Crackers later on in the 90s. And here we have the Decepticons and the Autobots were way too small, though. They were like, the Transformers were roughly like maybe 5 inches, and the Autobots and Decepticons were GoBot sized, so like 3.25 inches. So it's like they didn't match up at all, and they would have been bigger. Oh, is the joke that Swoop gets bigger? Yeah, they still took the weapons box thing. Yeah, that comes later. And they rigged up Starscream so he would like have a super mode, and because they're basically evil or something. But yeah, Swoop came down. That was a birthday present, I think, at the time. Sideswipe there is my first Transformer. He was a present from Martha, his sister, and she started it. It just never ended. So, yeah. So that Swoop toy broke immediately upon opening it up. Partly that particular issue of the red chest Swoop, that's why it's rare, is because it's a piece of shit. and yeah, and head just beak flew off. Crazy glued it back on. That's a piece of junk. So I guess the gag here is that they're gonna get together, and SDF Autobot's only about 10 feet tall there, but compared to him, if Sideswipe is like maybe 30, roughly, he's like 100 feet tall compared to him, something like that. Bigger than all of them. And the Pact was just because I didn't have an Optimus Prime yet. That's the only reason. And I don't really want to rip off what's from the other one, because we talked about it. Yeah. Let's see, but yeah, loud. So what? Battle of the Alekom. The Rossmacom. Clearly, I liked Jill Rossman. I wouldn't have included her. So yeah, she was a character at Pine Hill High School for kids with learning disabilities and junior high. There's a grade school on the other side. There are equivalents of that all over the world today. Back then, only one. South San Fe. Yeah. But that isn't the reason this doesn't work. The reason this doesn't work is because I had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't had any film school experience or anything. Although that version of Starscream, that weird transformation, is kind of cool looking. I was sort of predating Cyclonus there. Put his wings in reverse. That actually looks cool. They should have done more of those. They did later on in Transformers Energon, I think. They did something like that. The Bat Chick, who was a Rakshi in our series. The Mush. But yeah, sweep back wing thing. Similar to the G.I. Joe vehicle. To the X-31, the X-30 thing. Conquest X-30. Oh no. It's the giant clunky Lego robot. And it's made from city Legos and space Legos. Little blue ones with the dots. There was a nephew, David, who was my age, a half-brother being, at the time in his, well, now he's in his late 70s, but at the time, late 40s. So like there was late 30s at that time, yeah. Because I'm in his 50s now. So yeah, but yeah, David and I were roughly the same age. I believe he's on the internet as well, on YouTube, under a pseudonym. I won't say who it is to find him. But here we have Skyfire had this he's a Pine Hill student. You see, Skyfire was gonna risk his life to stop the alien, which is very Robotech of him. Very very space kamikaze thing. Which was honorable to them at the time, but yeah, back in World War II they had kamikazes, but they were losing good pilots by doing that. So yeah, during Japan, I guess it was honorable to them. Didn't seem like it. Just saying. He's all, let's get to work now that we've been fixed, I guess. I guess it didn't hurt him that much to do the kamikaze crash thing. It's just odd. The Robotechs did that on the show, though, so sometimes. But usually it was kind of edited out or made to not be that because yeah, it could have been offensive. Robotech aired at the same time. So yeah, you have this sort of I don't know. Yeah, you see my hands in the shot all the time because like one guy holding a camera and one guy doing a thing. So there's the Matrix. It's got the Matrix. Yeah, Battle of the Alekom. I don't even know. There's not really a bad guy in here. He's just sort of the bad guys are the Decepticons, but the one building the giant robot, who's that? I don't even think Strawberry's in this. Really, this isn't a. She's gonna show up, but Strawberry is also a Pine Hill student who I apparently didn't like. But yes, at the time, let's see. I don't think I spelled his name right either. No, for some reason I made Skyfire a leader of the. When did that happen? I don't think Jetfire would want to do that. But wow, okay, focus is going. Just amazing. They made a weird ass mode to like a Minosaur there too. Gave him little base. I mean, he did have a base mode. So did why did what the oddity is here that they have this giant SDF Autobot thing, and they sent Jetfire to battle the robot and almost die, but not the giant robot city ship thing that could have actually taken it. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Clearly, Robotech was around at this point too. Now, Robotech started in here in America in '85. Created some timeline problems with some of our later on location stuff in the history because we didn't realize it started. There was record of when it started. It was earlier that happened in some cases. So yeah, it didn't make sense when we historical database thing. But here, yeah, I was inventing a multiverse without even knowing it at the time. So this is my version of Transformers, and yeah, and in that there's a pact of Autobots, and so there's a multiverse. It's a sideways thing going on. Yeah, Abrams thing, not Abrams though. Why is he? Okay, there's the Aerobot. I think this actually jumped ahead a few days to this other scene. And they're all talking with the same voice. Well, there you kind of did a slightly lower voice. That does sound like early cowpoke. Does. And the Jetfire sounds like Silly Kelly. And Billy Allen. Yeah. Those characters. So there's three voices there. They're not quite distinct yet. Before cowpoke, though. What? And now the mothership decides, all right, I'm gonna fight the big robot. But now Jetfire's all, I don't want to let him kill himself, so I'm gonna fly over there. There is the gag here is kind of a dark humor because at Pine Hill, because of learning disabilities and bad kids as well, and troubled kids and all kinds of. It was weird because it was noted in the historical archives that there were at least 3 or 4 instances of somebody claiming they were going to cack themselves at some point to get attention mainly, but some of them were generally screwed up. So some of them tried, and that was actually kind of sad. So I was not spoofing them, but rather spoofing the idea of them being depressed in school, and that you shouldn't do that. Basically, but I didn't know how to articulate that. I didn't have the empathy quite right for that. So I was just basically, oh, this guy's gonna do this and that in the story. Yeah, I didn't quite get that's not being subtle. That's not being nice. I wasn't trying to be mean though. Like it was just I just didn't get that you don't like put that in your Transformer story. A suicidal Transformer Why is that in there? Why would the SDF Autobot do that? Did he just blast the Decepticons with his cannon? And then he got blasted. Ah, I turned the light sensitivity up on the camera. Great. Oh, it's an explosion. Yeah, that's it. That is the sheet on the bed. Yeah, there's no sets. Weapons box thing. Was the weapons box thing later, or was it earlier? I think it was earlier. This is so dumb. Oh my goodness. This is so... Oh, gotta love it. Minosaur. Ah. Look, oh, they cut a line out. Take over universe. This is like, it's weird. It's like this is not just trans. This is trans 2, which came later, 90s, and something like that happened. So this like predates and predicts stuff that's going to happen later by accident. I think I was trying to reinvent this idea over and over again. In the 90s with trans 2, we got to the point where we made a movie. We'll have to get to that one. The City That Time Forgot. MC Kim, the Kimchi character, will be narrating that one. But yeah, this is. I figured I'd do this one because I'm the one that did it. Oh, it's interesting that I don't think. I mean, Tim and Jim and John were around from the original cast at the time, but I don't think they're in this. I think it's just like referencing sort of where they are. Well, they did show up in Reunion of the Cities, which is a little later. They did show up in that. At least Tim did. Jim did. And in Trans 2 and Talala 1. And yes, we did a Talala 1 too. Other fans did a Talala 1 as well. We did one. We all recognize some of the elements of this. I think appeared in Shared Hallucinations as well, which was done later, based on these stories. So yeah, Trans 2, and then Trans Tech, and then Shared Hallucinations in 2021. So we keep remaking this. We got some Robotech stuff slated to remake the Myriad saga that never got made. I wrote the Sentinels Myriad saga. I rewrote my version of the Sentinels based on some other fan stories or about Transformers. We'll do that later, but we're going to go back to this. I didn't write the Sentinels. I wrote a fanfic of it. Yeah, based on other people's stuff. This is all my original stuff, though. I was just coming up with like my own weird Starscream with his funny wings. Yeah. Why did Minosaur kill Starscream? Or is going to kill Starscream? Star creep. Oh, me crush you. Where's Megatron? I didn't have one. I had a Galvatron later on, but not a Megatron. And some of the later ones were actually Tim's toys. So yeah. But that's later. Let's do this one now. So yeah, I guess what happened here is we had Minosaur fighting Starscream. And Swoop has clearly Frote guy. They're size bass speeches. Before that. That is a fairly good Chris Latta imitation. Even back then, that voice actually works. Probably because like puberty. That voice actually fairly decent Chris Latta imitation. But here we have not sure what I'm doing there. I guess I wanted to show like the sunrise. Yeah, that's probably what I'm doing. Oh no, and then I used some sort of, what the hell? Oh, it's a Lego City thing. Why didn't I just fix the focus puller? What was I doing? Lego ship thing that came down from Earth. Oh, is this this predates the building of the JWS cat, the John Williams cat. That guy wasn't even around anymore at this point. He had left in 83, and briefly we found him in 89. And he gave KTS back to us. We used KTS again. This is Catico, though. Yeah, so his name is John Williams Cat. Yeah, the original John Williams. And no, Mark Scars was not the replacement for John Williams. That's silly. But no, yeah, he was not in this. I don't know. It's odd. I wonder if, like, okay, I think the Battle of the Carta happens in here too, so I tended to make these really quickly over the course of the thing. And it was on video originally, and this is a heavily edited version that's taken out as many gonks as possible without losing the story. And it's still baffling. What was I doing? Oh, it looks shimmery and... Well, it would have worked if I had thought about what I'd... making the focus puller work. Yeah, that clunky, heavy video camera. Oh my goodness. I guess it's supposed to be a robot. It's Legos meets the Transformers. Hey, why not? More than it's Alekom meets the Transformers. So it's Legos meets the Transformers. City Legos and Space Legos meets the Transformers. The first Lego movie. Yes. Long before the Lego movie even existed. Watching the first Lego movie. The Lego movie. Yeah, we're not connected to Chris Pratt in any way, but apparently on the same wavelength. The great ship. Who built it? So you rebuilt the Alekom thing to look even weirder. Oh, it was just like an escape ship, I guess. I think this scene did have David in it. He built the ship. Yeah. That's probably why the focus isn't all crappy. He's all, I'll hold that and you film it. Okay. I think he is in this scene. I think he is. I just want to play with the Legos. There's no Transformers in the scene. It's just the Legos. I'll zoom in on him and yeah, you hold him. He became the prop manager slash not the gaffer, I guess, holding up the pieces of the my head is in the shot there. Oh, and you can see that it's evening outside. What was I doing? The Admiral of Space is clearly the Admiral David Brown and Adam Brown. Yeah, Admiral of Space because of Planetcom. So it's a reference to Planetcom, a reference to another story that I did in the 80s, 84 and 86. I'm going to reference one of my other stories and throw it in Transformers, as I often would do. So I not only did I do the first Mary Sue, I did the first really, really super self-esteem Mary Sue because I didn't have self-esteem issues. I was more like narcissistic issues. Like I am the Admiral of Space. But then they would turn it around and be like an SNL sketch and it would be self-effacing. The Admiral's apparently doesn't know what he's doing. He's like, yes, I'm going to defeat the Decepticons. And yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to do it. I'll fight them off. Why is Swoop fighting Minosaur? Now this is baffling, but then again, it's baffling. Autobots transform. I don't think we need to worry about any audio on this though, because there's no music in the background. But yeah, this is Battle of the Alekom, and it is really, really strange. Trans Battle of the Alekom. On the sideswipe. He just stood there. I'm a car. I get knocked in the head. Is he going to kill Skyfire again? I was like, wow. See, the death of Optimus Prime actually did affect me. I kept putting it in here. The death of Optimus Prime. The death of Optimus Prime. I'm going to do it with Jetfire instead. Why? But yeah. Like indirectly. Being ironic. A funny story about that one is that as a kid, I thought it was kind of fun. Fucked up, dark now. So I saw that movie dozens of times on video, but in the theater twice. And there was a guy in the theater who was like, "Oh, he turned Decepticon on." That's like it that Optimus Prime died. Oh, and like because it's I guess a town of 70,000 people, but back then 50,000. A small universe, and San Jose's next to it is a million people, but small universe, small theater. The Milpitas resident, apparently, Decepticon guy. The Transformers movie came out in '86. 21 years later, the Michael Bay movies come out, and they don't do that scene again. Obviously, in that one, they did it in part 2. Tried to kill him off, but that guy was in the theater, and I was in the theater watching it. And it was like, and he recognized me. Apparently, I made a big impression on him. And he was older now, obviously. And it was all like, yeah, I switched sides. I was like the Autobots now. But yeah, but yes, and he was there for Dark of the Moon as well. But, yeah, he was destroyed. What's wrong with Skyfire? He was destroyed. Not quite yet. I'm not dead. I just broke the backpack piece because my toy is kind of crappy. This kid is beating my character around too much. Gunship and the other Autobots. Okay. I am great. Oh. I am the great Cowpoke. Is that human? Oh, his foot, his wheel already fell off. He's kind of a cheap piece of shit. Now, who did he get blasted by? I think was it the Skyfire got blasted by the Decepticon ray gun, or I guess. Yeah, this is totally baffling, but interesting. It's very interesting. It's interesting that like Thrust is going to fix Jetfire. I'm just not sure why. So Thrust. Oh, they're going to do the Transformers the movie thing. Yes, apparently this does so it did affect you. It did find that Prime dies thing dramatic. Oh, I wonder if I reference G.I. Joe the movie in here anyway. Probably in the next one. Oh, he's in a coma. I put that in the other one. What's funny about that is that they so misrepresented the fans at the time in the 80s, the Transformers show. Let's kill the main father figure of the Transformers. Let's kill Optimus Prime. They totally misstepped that, and they wanted to introduce a bunch of new toys because the other ones are discontinued. That's the story. Some other fans have talked about that recently on the YouTube, and like, yeah, that's what happened. But also then they were producing G.I. Joe the movie around the same time, and that ended up going direct to video into TV. It didn't end up in the theaters. G.I. Joe the movie, they realized, oh shit, we shouldn't have killed Optimus Prime like that and all those other Autobots because the kids are all mad. They're not going to watch G.I. Joe anymore if we do that with Duke. We were going to do that with Duke. We were going to kill Duke. So basically, they show Duke getting snaked through the heart with a snake. And that's a little later in this timeline. But yes, a little later. And it's like, oops, we better take that and change that in post So the two scenes where he's apparently totally dead and gets a snake through his heart, a snake spear through his heart. At the end, they grafted in, he's come out of his coma. He's A-OK. And we're like, everybody with the school was like, that's really stupid. Okay, 30 and 40 minutes in. I'm not done yet. Okay, so we have. Yeah, I was talking about Optimus Prime and Transformers. I don't know if I walked over that already, but the idea was that the Transformers the movie, they misjudged what the fans wanted. They didn't know they had a fan base, I guess. They killed Optimus Prime and freaking out millions of children all over the place. And I was a young teenager, but very immature. And there's that. And they were in production on G.I. Joe the movie. Once they realized this misstep, they realized, oh no, we're in G.I. Joe the movie, we're going to kill Duke. And so we got to fix that to make it like, even though we shafted him with a snake spear through his heart, and he's clearly dead. And they're clearly acting like he's dead, and they have to get revenge and go destroy Cobra Law. But no, at the very end, they grafted in the line, Duke's come out of his coma. He's going to be A-OK. Yeah, uh-huh. We can't only call him Duke. It's clearly dubbed over. It's clearly not Doc at headquarters. And they're making fun of that in Trans 2 by having Trans Tech and several of the other ones by having that be silly. But I think here, this is before that, before G.I. Joe the movie. It only went on in video. Anyway, didn't get in theaters. And then there. So why does in this story? I don't know why Skyfire would have the Matrix. I don't know how he would get that. But strangely enough, the later versions of the magazines, Marvel and J-Haxis, Just Access, and all that stuff. Later versions of the comic books, most notably IDW in the 2000s, would do stuff like this all the time. Apparently, there was a God Hot Rod. And, I'm surprised they didn't do a jet. I think they did do a giant Jetfire one, in one of those. Where he became like powerful Autobot leader. I'm sure they did it once at least. And I suspect that the giant Starscream in later Transformers Cybertron was supposed to be Jetfire because he wasn't acting like Starscream. But yeah, which he became in this version, Regis Maximus in the other version, the spaceship. Yeah, this movie clearly came. Sideswipus Prime. What the? Sideswipus Prime. Why would Sideswipe be worthy of the Matrix? Don't make him anything like Sideswipe either. Sideswipe was kind of a cocky bastard. I am now the Autobot leader. I am Sideswipus Prime. Leader of the Pact. There are a bunch of these guys. Your Trax. Yeah, the Trax toy sucked too. He wouldn't stand up. And that carpet was like a low pile carpet, but they didn't stand up too well. And I didn't think to put them on a shelf and film them that way. I thought to film them from Disney angle, from way in the sky, like on a crane. It really looks fake. Oh man, this is baffling. It's the bafflingness of the movie films. I'm gonna pause it right here. I'm gonna keep recording though on the mic. So. Yes. So, what is that supposed to be? That's not even a ship. That's just a piece of Lego. What's I doing? It was filmed over the course of 2 or 3 nights, apparently. Probably. Psst. Yeah, it's like back in the day when I got in trouble and had to go to my room. I liked it in my room. Didn't do any good to go in my room. Oh no, they rebuilt the robot. When David put it back to. Oh, and then they built the cardboard Alekom robot. Oh my goodness. That is the fakest looking thing ever. It looks like something out of a cross between a 50s cheesy, like, what the hell? It apparently didn't break the other one. Right together. Oh, and the Alekom is going to go be the headmaster. So I predicted the headmasters. Hadn't introduced him yet. The headmaster. He's going to become part of the headmaster. That's the aerial bots. Yeah. It was a Christmas present. Holiday season 1986. Early 87. I think it says 87 in the story, but it's technically January 87, so yeah. Because Reunion of the Cities was almost a full year later, and we will get to that. But that one was plagued with, like, problems all the way through. This one is just kind of a spectacular mess. But in a weird sort of way. There's a weird lens flare thing. It's got its own sort of... Yeah, there's no Carta yet. Radiates the Carta. Carta will probably just right after this. In late winter, early spring. Remember those stripy 70s bed sheets? The idea, I guess, being that the Pact thing kind of got dropped, and they're just sort of just a version of the Autobots and Decepticons. And then filmed The Wall, and oh, is this another set? Could be briefly in the living room there, the shag carpet. I believe that this scene also has David in it. Sounds like it. So yeah, I think this scene does. That scene did. What's a flashback to a piece of footage with David, and the camera's going. I think whenever the image gets clearer, I think he just knew how to make the camera focus. Just like put the camera like that. I knew what I was doing. Yeah. Oh man, there's something really wrong with that camera. All tracking's all. But yeah, this is kind of baffling. He got the Dinobots. That's kind of cool. Slag's already screwed up. His tail broke off. They were too small as well. They should have been technically the 7 or 8 inches tall. Not until 2022 they start making Dinobots the right size. It took that long. Of course, they're kind of pricey when they're that size because of the plastic thing and the regulation thing. So about $70 for a Dinobot. They've only made 3 so far. I think Grimlock and Slag and Sludge. And they can't call him Slag anymore, so they called him Slog because apparently English got mad. Slag is apparently a term over there. That's bad, I guess. Although the Thews Awesome Reviews channel says, I don't know why they just don't call him Slag. What's wrong with that? I'm British, don't care. It's stupid. They should just call him Slag. I'm going to call him Slag. That's what he's called. So yeah, we blew up the robot and rebuilt it as their escape ship. I'm assuming that just after this here is going to be all of the like behind the scenes bloopers and shit, which is always fun. Yeah, Slag's tail is already broken off, and I don't think I had that toy more than 6 months at that point. And I made a cardboard tail for him. Yeah, this is near the end of this story, I believe, but there are several minutes of bloopers and outtakes on the end of it. A dead duck. Ha ha. Very PG, if not G. Except for the dark stuff about Jetfire wanting to cack himself. Transform. Why would he do that? Just take the Matrix from him. Maybe that's why they're all on about the British. Slag hates junk. Maybe that's what it is. They saw this fan film years ago on video on the KTS network, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, really?" No, I don't think so. But it is funny to contemplate that they just freaked out over that one little bit, didn't know what to do with it. Repair the Earth by blasting it. Ties into the Carta story, in which the Cartas later thought that billions of years went by, but no, it was just this sanitation ray gun that Transformers fired. And I did set it billions of years later, but I didn't know what it was doing. So it isn't really that. That's retconned. It's not really what happened, but it's funny that to imply that that is what happened, even though it's like, oh my god, really? but yeah, yeah. This was originally 2 hours, an hour and 15 minutes, but it's like that's because there were some bloopers after this that are just really. There was like an hour of them, so you gotta watch the bloopers and see what I screwed up on. Because if this is as clean as it got, 2012 reprint. Wow. Oh god. They fly off, and this immediately leads into Reunion City. Cast. There it is. Oh, it's Tom Brooks and Billy Allen. Yeah, I thought that was Billy Allen. Yeah. Delete. Oh god. 40 minutes of deleted scenes. Okay, here's a deleted scene involving. Oh no, it's just gonna be random deleted scenes. You can do whatever you want with those. Oh, end credits that were just awful. The credit maker was later purchased in the 1990s. Christmas present during, I believe, Christmas Tale 2, 1990. But yeah, but here, yes, I was in Christmas Tale 2. Yes, failed child star. Never released pilot. Two pilots that were never released. Although the Jung Swan era started after that, and they had connections with some occasional movies, including those by Ernie Reyes Jr. And they later went on to there was a ninja movie called Three Ninjas, and Three Ninjas 2. And the Grandmaster of the Jung Swan, she had connections to this movie, and then they needed extras, so we were extras in that movie, background in their private thing, and I got to can hear me key upping in the background in an actual Hollywood movie. The costume was later put away and discovered like dozens of years later, and the belt didn't fit anymore. The belt got lost actually, so I ordered a new belt online later. It was too small, but I wanted it to be with the G1 thing, and I then got a slightly larger belt for the bigger uniform, which is cool. So I have the belt and the uniform from marked in the studio things. Failed child star. Yep, they never wanted us again. Every time a news crew would come over to Pine Hill or something, or come over to a movie or something, they would see me being a little hyper and not put me on film. But I'm in that movie in the background. As long as you're way over there making noises, that's fine. Yeah. But now our YouTube channels have like thousands of videos and reviews and things. You can see me. Yeah. And some people think, oh, we work for Disney and Marvel and stuff. No. If we did, there would be more subscribers. We don't. But we knew of some people that did, and they no longer do. So don't ask. So here we have. These are all outtakes, and they're just terrible. That's why they're movie. They make the movie more baffling because they are outtakes and they kind of are the plot. But the plot, such as it is riddled with holes. What was I? Okay, the camera's going. Why were they trying to make Starscream have more weapons? No. This is amazing and so stupid on some level. Oh, the shuttle thing. Cut that out entirely. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. What happened there? It's so brief. I won't go into the other details. But apparently, I was 16 when the Challenger disaster happened. And as a teenager in Pine Hill, knowing nothing about aerodynamics or anything, thought, why don't they have like an escape shuttle? You know, they can just pop off the top of the shuttle and escape like a rocket, like a toy rocket ship. No, no, they don't have that. So that's what I was doing. So, a long story short, that's what happened. Hey, look, the space shuttle Challenger escapes to the planet. No, let's put that in the outtakes. That's a little offensive. Yeah. So it's on this even back in this 2005 print. Yeah, let's put that in the back. That's all that was. So I thought they could save the next space shuttle by having them have an escape pod. Of course, I was kind of cribbing that from Transformers the movie as well. And there was an escape pod scene in that movie. So yeah, it wasn't like I thought of that. It's like I ripped it off from the movie. Like, but I thought of it. I was like, no, I ripped it off. Yeah, that wouldn't work unless the ship was designed to have an escape pod. If it didn't have one, then but there'd be no way to build the space shuttles. It's the size of a jetliner. It's pretty big. You can't really do that. Which made a weird scale issue with the Combaticons, which they had a space shuttle one. And the weird thing with a lot of these weird combiners were like, was there a space shuttle one? There was like a giant motorcycle, a tiny helicopter on a Defensor. There was a giant space shuttle, which should be way bigger than all of them. Huge. The space shuttle's huge. I saw one in the museum. It's gigantic. It's fucking huge. It's like that thing should be bigger than all the Transformers. It should be like Skylinks, you know? It's like just his arm should be. If he's a space shuttle, all of them would be bigger. If you built a Defensor, he'd be like just about 100 feet tall. But yeah, if they had a space shuttle, that thing would be 100 feet tall. So it doesn't make sense. But yeah, there was a later NASA disaster, the 2003, the Columbia, I think. Columbia broke up. It had like an impact on your entry. And now they didn't put in an escape pod there either. Yeah. So yeah. It was 2003. So here we have the weapons box. I sort of left that out of this print because I'm showing the side of the bed. At least I was trying to make a set, though. I was like, oh, okay, I want to make it wintry, so I'm going to throw this white blanket there, and yeah, that'll look good. It's like, no, it won't. It doesn't look wintry at all. Because it was winter. What are they doing? Oh, this is fun to look back on. I can't say it's completely dumb or anything. It's amusingly dumb or incompetent. I just didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, here's a red blanket that symbolizes the lava or something, ground or mountain or whatever. I don't think we got the mountain set right until the brown sheet from Transtech. That was partly the influence of the actual other Hollywood people that had been on ET and Star Wars, the stories, who were like, why don't you go to like the fabric shop in San Jose, a Vietnamese shop thing. They have every kind of fabric imaginable, and just get space backgrounds and put up backdrops on your space sets, so they actually look like, at least it looks like a backdrop instead of a sheet or a blanket. Well, oh, okay, yeah. So in our later stuff, in the Chimera in 2019 and that kind of thing, much later, we had that ability to do the later stuff. So all the stuff after Transtech, we had other stuff. We used cardboard sets in Transtech, which worked. There were different colors and things. We knew them at that point. So yeah, we miniaturized cardboard sets and things. But yeah, we had to like come up with sets and backdrops that didn't look okay. That scale really doesn't work. It did help better when there was somebody holding it, and that's just the light sensitivity's up too high. And these bloopers are funny. It's like just a spectacular like level of we didn't and then the video goes. There's a spectacular level of just I didn't have any idea what I was doing, and that camera was shot on Shitio. It wasn't. The camera's not great. The camera's crap. So we have this 90-minute movie that's just wow. I'm watching bloopers. So I just want to get to the bloopers. Oh, the idea there is that Starscream is going fast. I didn't learn the technique of streaky lines at that point. What you do in animation, if you want to make something look like it's going fast, Speed Racer fast, whatever, and it's not moving, you draw streaky lines on the panel of the so that it looks like it's streaking through the air. So these little lines go, which you can simulate, and then it looks like okay, he's going fast, even though he's not moving. Which they did up the nines in Star Trek Next Generation with the warp effect. Same idea. Streaky lines in the background makes it look like it's going really fast. And like the post group, it's not going at all. It's like on a track and it's going like 2 miles an hour. Oh, no, it's at warp. Yeah, sure it is. It's going light speed. Yeah. The Star Wars people, what they did before that, like a couple of years, they had 10 years before that, as Next Generation had started, it was on. So I was trying to imitate it, but not working. They just used moving color wheels and things to like do the warp effect. Poked holes in a big black screen, or drew on the screen the warp stars, and then so the effect of the Millennium Falcon going is just the false perspective stuff with lights, which I was trying to imitate but didn't know how they did it, so I just guessed. I didn't know how to do that. I'm going to get away with it. What was I the bloopers here are more interesting than the story, just because they're like, okay, yeah, that could have worked, but I didn't. Yeah. Oh, there's the dresser again. The dresser pops up quite a lot. Didn't think to film them on the dresser, on the sleeping bag, which would have made more sense, but no one came in and said, that's not how you do it. And even if they had, I would have ignored them. Because unlike Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory, we didn't really know what we were doing and didn't have a life. We just did our own thing. Yeah, like accurately autistic kid is more like this. It's more like this, accurately autistic kid. So it's more like this. This is what you get. This is stream of consciousness, weird Transformer fan film, long before anyone ever did one. And there are some others that have imitated it. This is 1986 and 87. And holy shit. It definitely is stream of consciousness. Actually, if you took the individual clips, which don't, but if you did, it's and made them like, oh, this is a funky thing Swoop did today. This is a funny thing Starscream did today with his guns and little shorts. You would end up with YouTube poop shorts. You would end up with vines from Vine. You would end up with that. Transformer vines. Yeah. Some of those are very creative. Some of those have stop motion. Some of the newer. I don't think Vine exists anymore, but yeah, the whole Twitter bait thing. Yeah, you'd have like little vignettes. One guy that's really good at the Transformer vignette skits is a guy named Mgo the Freaking Geek on YouTube. He does a little sketch at the end of his reviews, and every one of them is funny. They're absolutely great. It's awesome. He did reference us once on his podcast. You saw some of our stuff. Like, yeah. He was all, I just watched this weird fan film called Corrosion. War Without End. It was fun. It was a fun one. like a long version of my sketches, but it went on forever. Pretty fun. Little long. Little long. 7 1-hour episodes. Go watch it if you want. But yes, based on some other guy. I don't know. Based on this other dude. He just animated it. Yeah, so later on we did more of this stuff. It's not like we stopped. We're still doing them. Most recently, Transformers Lexicons. Yeah, we're still doing them. We're going to do a Robotech one. We're going to do the Robotech angle on this Justice. Why are the Robotech people there? Let's show what they were doing. So now they got that. Our Sentinels fan film thing, which is yet to come out. 2023, likely, since it's late 2022. You're going to get to see that. Skyfirus Prime. Oh, no, Film Delight. Oh, that's the shag carpet that was in the hallway. That's right. So those are in the hallway. Yeah. That's supposed to be Cybertron with the gray background blanket. The idea worked. It's just the execution didn't. And yeah, the background walls. Before the age of posters, of course. That worked. It's like a hyperactive Asperger version of Toy Story, except the toys are actually more somehow more realistic than in Toy Story, and darker. Some of them try to take themselves out to save the Autobots in some kind of martyr thing, suicidal martyr complex thing. What the hell? What the hell? It's like the Ed Wood of Transformers parodies. Some of that stuff is really good though. Some of them don't like. Some of them saw our stuff from 2000, 2001, 2009. Some of the later 2020 stuff, the Corrosion, the other series, and the Mush series. One of them was like, "Oh, I can totally do that." And they commented on there. I did one of these, but I did it stop motion, and I included road rage and a bunch of other like ones in it. Watch it. Yeah, I did. It was cool, but it's like he said it took forever. Like I told you, it'd take forever. Yeah, so he did one where he used his masterpiece Transformers and did like the Decepticons find road rage frozen in the Ark, in the Autobot Ark ship, and they go out and they rescue her and they try to brainwash her, but she gets out. It's about 7-8 minutes long. Yeah, it's stop motion. It looks cool. I suggested that they put the actual sets in the background instead of just using cardboard boxes because I've done that and it doesn't look good. But yeah, so there were it was fun. And that's how long you'd want to make something that's fully stop motion. It's only a few minutes because otherwise it's like no, it takes too long. I had to do this for a whole year. Oh, I thought I could do it. I told you it took forever. Anyway, so here's a blue screen. So here we have. Well, these outtakes are amazingly weird. There's an hour of them. But yeah, we're just going through the outtakes here, and oh my goodness, that have to not been necessary. Mostly, it's okay. That's just the camera melting. Then we went on to make star crackers with it. About a third of it was usable. Reshoot it later in 2005 and 2011. Some footage we couldn't use at all because we just decided to pipe in music from movies that were better. Don't do that in your fan film either. Yeah, just because the Batman theme sounds cool, or the Wrath of Khan theme, or the Jurassic Park theme, don't do it. Don't put it in the background. YouTube will flag it for one thing. But because you're just going to want to stop watching your fan film that you made in your backyard with your friends and watch Jurassic Park. Yeah, just don't do that. I'm not saying don't do that angrily. I'm saying don't do that. Just don't. It's going to look like shit. So here we have. Oh, yeah. I can see why these are bloopers because they really, really don't work. And they throw the scale completely off. 'Cause even though they're kind of in focus, they're what are they? Yeah, I probably had the camera on one knee and the robot on the other, as I recall. It's very hyperactive. Done during the break. Yeah. So yeah, it's still evening. I wonder if most of this was it was a course of like 2 days or something. Like around like the day after Christmas, I think it was, from what I recall. Yeah, it was like December 26th and 27th of 1986. But at this point, Tim and I had probably watched the video of Transformers the movie a dozen times, which is insane. But yes, that is the longest running Transformers movie thing yet, which we've watched at least 30 times. To the point of there were people at the later San Jose State in the mid 2000s that said, "Okay, prove it. Can you quote from the movie?" And they, like, yeah, I can quote from the movie. But yeah, I literally started the opening crawl with the credits and the narration. Okay, yeah, he knows. Or the Optimus Prime's death scene. Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, so it's like one shall stand, one shall fall. Why throw away your life so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. No, I'll crush you with my bare hands. That's not exactly how it went. That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. Yeah, and then he charges him. He goes, "No, I'll crush you with my bare hands." Yeah. Out of the way, Hot Rod. Stay away, lad. That's Prime's fight. That was earlier. Stay away, lad. That's Prime's fight. Out of the way, Hot Rod. Fall. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it's been years. I saw it last on the 25th anniversary. I own it. But yeah. So now the 37th anniversary of this? 36th, 37th? It's been a while. Yeah. Almost 40th, is it? 40th? Transformers started in 84. Yeah, it's 38th almost. Holy shit. Wow. Yeah, we never give up on it. You can go to the conventions, the toy shows and things, you can see there are people my age and a little older that are there, and they're selling their Transformer wares or they're selling other people's. And it's a collectible thing now. It's like cool, it's kitschy. Despite the Michael Bay movies being cheesy, they did make it mainstream. They made Transformers mainstream in the mid 2000s. They brought it back. The Japanese helped too, of course, with their versions of it. Yeah, it became mainstream. For a while, though, there was a glut, and we'll get to it, in the 1990s. And I was like, okay, now after the Pretenders, which sucked and didn't make it as a toy line, they kind of died off in America, and it became even darker than this. This just has implications of being darker, but no, Trans 2 is some seriously like not funny shit. but this is just Trans. Although when they torched Optimus Prime on a hibachi barbecue, that actually was funny. I really wanted to kill him this time. But yeah, that's a famous one. That's us. Burning Optimus Prime on the hibachi, that's us. So anybody that tells you otherwise, that's us. Burn Prime. It also became a music video. Burn Prime. That was from Prime Must Die. Trial by Fire was the name of the episode, and we'll get to that. So here we have, I'm just doing commentary tracks. Battle of the Alekom. Since this one doesn't have any music over it, I could totally do this one. Slide. Lamp. I could put a lamp up in the hallway. I didn't think of that. That's okay because the camera's going. This is a little before Carta, it looks like, because the Cartas are more like Legos and some pieces of Carta here and there. It's actually a little before it. Yeah. Timeline-wise, Yeah, Carter was probably shot a little afterward, in March of '87. A little after this. The only reason the original aircraft carrier thing was built is because Uncle Bill didn't want to build me an aircraft carrier ship at a balsa, so I made my own. So come on, that was a little much. He didn't build aircraft carriers. He built realistic model boats for the boat museum in Duluth. They look great. They would be spot on like models for they were a studio quality, but he didn't build aircraft carriers and stuff like that. Nothing that complicated. But yeah, if you wanted a movie set on like a tanker or something, it was supposed to go in on the lakes and stuff. Yeah, you could make that back in the day. Yeah, it would look like it. I mean, it would clearly be a model, but it would be a really good model. So yeah. Yeah. And I had to learn how to do that stuff later. Carter and Carter 2. Reached the epiphany of model making later on. Kind of stagnated a little bit though. In Trans 2 is the last time we did any Cartas. Really, the Trans Tech, yeah, Trans Tech 1, 2, and 3. I don't really do Cartas so much anymore, but fortunately, there are other people that do. And if we ever did a Carta new movie, we would use theirs. Because yeah, you can get them. Because yeah, the mechanics required for doing that. I thought about using robotics toys when the new different Legos came out. I thought of doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, another MGO, the freaking geek thing. That mascot is a robotics. So he's a robotics toy. So yeah, that's what he is. But yeah, he was one of the mush people from back in the day too. Yeah, because after the first things to appear on the internet bulletin board services was Transformers and Star Trek, and the Transformers mush was done in university servers, and they would put them out on the internet. Go in there and wait for somebody's story to come in and read it. And their fanfic, they usually got kind of shippy and kind of dirty. They'd be all like, and there would be Mary Sue stories constantly, and that was just awesome. So the Robotech thing is a Mary Sue thing too, but not as much as some of the other stuff. Yeah. Oh, my Springer fanfic, where I love Spring. There was a lot of those, especially during Lexicons. Just a lot of Springer fanfic. Some of the fans were upset because, like, the end of Shared Hallucinations, we killed Springer really, really nonchalantly, just like beat him up and killed him. And they're like, oh, no, you can't do that. Is that? Yeah, but we're making the third season. Don't worry about it. Your later third season comes out, and he's the main character in the third season. So we brought him back. Yeah, we weren't gonna kill him. So he's in the third season. The toy broke, so we're basically, well, let's just say he's dead. The broken toy appears in the pilot of Lexicons, and they rebuild him as the Earthrise one. And I thought the Earthrise guy wasn't actually the real guy. He was talking to the Primal Prime guy, but it turned out he was. And they apologized, of course. Yeah, it actually was him. Holy shit. But yeah. Yeah, there's this. It didn't seem realistic that they would call that guy over in New Jersey, but apparently he did. I've never really interviewed directly a creator of the Transformers. Really. There was an encounter with Frank Welker back in the day. Mentioned. Well, he said of my Transformer Megatron voice, well, I'm not out of a job yet. But yes, but yes, but we did meet Carl Mashak from Robotech at the convention years ago in the 90s, late 87, around this time period, actually, and we were hawking the Sentinels. And the Sentinels books never got produced into a Sentinels Robotech series spinoff. But yeah, I have created one using elements of other fan film stuff from the Lexicons. So I don't own Lexicons at all. I just crib their stuff, and I'm gonna do the Sentinel stories. Next, Robotech. Not from the Masek ones because they're copyrighted, but rather fanfic versions of them that were originally Transformers stories. So it's Transformers meets Robotech, but now Robotech meets Transformers. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. And now, but I'm just talking, just smacking shit about what I'm doing now. Here we have a scene down in the living room on the couch. So there's like these weird vistas of sheets and things. And they blow up the earth or something. I did try to clean this up. There's like 40 minutes of bits where I did clean it up. But you still kind of can't tell what's going on. And these are bloopers, and they're hilarious. Because, yeah, if you're going to, like, do this, don't hold them with your fingers in front of the camera. Don't do it that way. Stop motion or go motion. Don't hold them with your fingers. But sure, if you're like 17 and you're like, you're 17 with the mentality of probably an 8-year-old at this point, yeah. You can forgive the lack of video quality of the mad genius is in there, where they're going and how that was put together and the ship crashing and all that. The genius is in that. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it's just a fan film. The mush didn't make sense either most of the time. There's hundreds of them out there, and maybe thousands. And they've made newer ones. There have been generations that have made newer ones. And yeah, Corrosion of War Without End, I should probably mention this. Was it Rob Powers watches this? Yeah, it's Rob Powers' story. And I just did an animated version of his story. Don't know him. Well, I did an animated version out of his story. Changed some of the character names around. But yeah. Yeah. Sort of a novel, really. No, that was okay because Emma was a freaking geek. He made the other that King Grimlock fan film story. A lot of people have done that one, or different versions in the Slagmaker story as well. Did a King Grimlock special. Put them all in there. Since there have been scores of new ones since the glut of the 90s, and they haven't stopped. Doesn't look like there's going to. Although currently there is a little bit of one, because the current ones are kind of cheap. And then there's Earthspark, which is a new show. Yeah. That's kind of getting near it. Yeah, and Earthspark looks like Rescue Bots, so it's a kiddie show. So was the new Bumblebee one from a couple of years ago. More of a kiddie show. They're trying to make it a serious adult collector show. Oh. Well, you guys got that. Transformers Prime. Yeah, Welker and Cullen were back. Got your serious collector show. So you did get it. Wow. But yeah. Not so much Transformers Animated, which was Teen Titans with Transformers. Not so much with that. Although they'd have a third season that never aired until like later on in video. Yeah. And a fourth season that was canceled. I think the longest run any Transformers series ever was well, the G1 one, they did like 100 episodes altogether, including the 30-some that they did for set in 2005, 2006, and then fudged when Prime died to say he'd been dead for years. You know, at most he'd been dead for a year, maybe two, barely a year, before they had to bring him back in the Return of Optimus Prime. The Return of Optimus Prime. Da-da-da-da. Yes, and of course Michael Bay immortalized us, or at least Mark's hearts, in his later reinvented Marky Mark episodes, the Age of Extinction and the Last Night, by including his character as Cade Yeager, named after Mark's cards, his real last name. So the Cade Yeager. I was Attinger, but I wasn't the actor playing him. They should have got me. I would have done it. But you'd have to name him Strawberg, of course. and Mark's Cars would be playing him. So. Yes, they include Strawberg in Rise of the Beast, so it's just the new one coming next year. Yeah, they'll. But the Bumblebee movie was awesome. Yes, that was spot on. They went back to their roots and said, okay, Steven Spielberg type ET thing, but with Transformer. There, that's what you do. That was awesome. That opening battle scene on Cybertron was like, oh shit, yeah, this is awesome. Heck yeah, this is awesome. So yeah, Decepticons attack. I do a better sound wave than I do a Megatron. Anyway, so yeah, because your sound wave is pretty good. But your friend Jim, he does a better Megatron. Yeah, Megatron. Anyway, so yeah, this Battle of the Alekom. Battle of the Alekom. Not sure why they were fighting the Alekom robot, except he was kind of like Unicron, I guess. Starscream went on the ship too. Ooh. 10 months later, reunion in the city. So yeah, this has been Battle of the Alekom, and it predates Carta and Carta 2, apparently. Yeah. So. And the blast that's at the end of the story ties into Carta because they think it's billions of years later. It's not. That's insane. But we had to retcon that in Carta 2. Just said, no, they thought it was. But deity shows up and smacks him around. Invid deity. Because it's supposed to be the regent, but I didn't explain that. Yeah. But I do the regent justice in the new ones. Keep referencing the Robotech thing. Hope it comes out because I keep referencing. And I'm gonna grab them off the floor. The lava base thing. I would build elaborate bases, especially in the backyard. Once you did the backyard stuff, I'd build the elaborate base only to destroy it immediately afterward. I think the music is actually playing right here. Oh God. I don't think it'll be a problem though because the touch is not really copyrighted. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean it is, but YouTube doesn't care about that one. Because it's not UMG, and it's really grainy. I doubt it's gonna. Yeah. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. So I had the audio apparently, the audio tape of it, and I had the record. It's probably the record. Lion Inspector General. They made up a bunch of names because the rock bands didn't want to be associated with it. Inspector General. Yeah. But Stan Bush, he didn't care. He's like, yeah, I'm just Stan Bush. Anyway, so, yeah. Battle of the Alekom. Holy shit. Tremendous steaming pile of it. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. Battle of the Alekom. We're probably going to just not use this last 2 seconds. But we'll see. Battle of the Alekom. What? That's my hand. Come on. This is blue. Transformers more than meets the eye. Oh, great. The skies. That's it.